ருசிக பரலோக சுவையின்ப இயேசுவே என் வாழ்வின் திவ்யமிர்தமே இன்னும் இன்னும் வேண்டும் என்று கெஞ்சுதே உள்ளமே உன் நினைவால் என் இதயம் ஏங்குதே வல்லாய்.
A very good evening to all of you. We welcome all the viewers and subscribers of Melky TV and especially viewers of our English book review program called Pen, Mic and Swords. Dear friend, God has been very gracious to us. This is our 61st episode. So we have completed review of almost 60 books with different reviewers with their own perspective. We have seen different content of the book. We have reviewed different genres of a book, and that's a great thing to say in today's fast-paced life. Programs like this will help us to stay connected with the books so that we may know what kind of book is available, the kind of author that are writing so many books, and we get the author's perspective in spite of staying in different parts of the world, and that is the power of writing. We may not even know the author. The author may be in one end of the world, and we might be in the other end of the world. But what they want to convey their thought, it reaches to us. And books are the silent counselors. I always say they guide us. They will not condemn us, but they will convict us if we are erring in some parts of our life. So we should go for not only spiritual books, theological books. We should go for a secular book or a fantasy book, or we can study fiction. Any kind of book is necessary so that we may know about different kind of literary works that are available. So today in our 61st episode, we are going to see a book. The author of the book is present here, and he himself will be reviewing the book. We all know Chiradeep Patra brother is a regular reviewer in our program, and he's also a nice author, and he has authored almost, I think, some 8 to 9 books. Now I have stopped counting because he's always writing something or other. So I guess it would be around 9 books, and he's also a good life coach, and he loves to communicate with people. He loves to give a listening ear to people's problem. So it had been a very nice journey with Chiradeep Patra brother, a very nice friend, a nice human being. And the book which we are going to review today is Echoes of My Heart, a collection of heartfelt emotions, expressions, and insight in the form of poetical musings. And this book is written by Chiradeep Patra brother. And we are going to have some panelists. The first panelist, we already know Joseph is also a regular reviewer in a platform. Joseph is from Mumbai, as we all know that he has completed his engineering in electronics and telecommunication from University of Mumbai, and he has also completed his MBA from Symbiosis International University. He has worked in many corporate companies like TCS, Reliance, Amazon, Udan, and presently I think he's working in Misho as a fresh business planner, and he's also part of New Jerusalem Church youth ministry team. Is very good in playing instrument, and is also involved in church media work. And Sam will be also joining us. We all know Sam, also a reviewer in our platform, and he's a cyber secretary professional. Sangeetha sister from Mumbai would be joining us. She's a CBSE school teacher. And we will be having a new panelist today, Dr. J. Ebenezer Helan. So she's assistant professor of English from Vahu Vajia Women's College, Kyle Pattanam, Tamil Nadu. And recently she has published her first book in English, which is titled as Us. She has written this book with a friend and colleague, or Jobrit Rodrigo. She has 8 years of teaching experience. She herself is a writer, orator, and she has served as a chief guest for several programs and also acted as judge for various competitions. She's also a Sunday school teacher, VBS director, and is also involved in preaching and in the ministry of God. So we are expecting our panelists. So we welcome all in the name of Lord Jesus Christ. And without much delay, I would like to turn the podium to Chiradeep brother to give his review, please. Brother, please. Brother, you are in mute.
Maybe whatever I said, those those words should not be spoken. That's why I was on mute. So let me speak what supposed to be published and announced. So thank you so much, Sister Jemima, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you so much, Joseph, for giving me this opportunity because I was I was told at the last moment, and I tried to search which book to review, and I was tempted to review so many books, but I thought, no, let me review my own book, um, because an author always would like to speak about his own book. So I took the opportunity of speaking about my own book, one of my books. So I remember my first book was reviewed by Joseph, the final week. He reviewed wonderfully. Thank you so much, Joseph. And I think Sister Sangeetha will also come, and she has reviewed another book of mine. So I thank all of them for reviewing my book and this one. And I had reviewed one more book I had written. I reviewed myself, and this one I'm going to review as well. So, as Sister Jemima rightly read the title of this book, Echoes of My Heart. So, poems are akin to the heartbeats of human emotions, transcending feelings from one person to another. They echo the quietest moments of our heart, provoking thoughts, stirring emotions, and arousing the senses of anyone touched by life. My poems share the same essence. They are my heartbeats, inviting others to feel and understand what I think, what I feel, and what I yearn to express. My emotions and my feelings and my experiences, I have penned them down in the forms of poems. All the new generation will call it poems. I don't know how do they pronounce it, but I am a old generation guy, so I will pronounce it as poem. So throughout my life I have penned many poems, and maybe more than 100 I have written poems, small, published or unpublished. But within this collection, Echoes of My Heart, I have carefully selected 18 of those poems that are close to my heart. These poems touch upon love, God's grace, emotions, life's challenges, personal reflections, and various virtues, hope, friendships, and the power of the words. I trust that readers will find a connection with these verses as they navigate the shared tapestry of our human experiences. So, reviewing a poem book, a poetry book, is not very easy, because unless you read it out, and it's very difficult to explain them. So, I would like to explain a few verses of one or two stanzas or one or two lines of each poems, so that you can understand what I mean, that what I just said, what I just introduced about the book. My first book is called The Bridge. Okay, like, I have written like this. I would like to read the whole poem. This one, a bridge. I am not the bridge, because the bridge is Jesus Christ. He is the Jesus. He is the bridge through whom we went up to heaven. We could go up to heaven, because John saw in the dream that there is a ladder from heaven to earth, and that ladder is Jesus Christ himself. Because the angels and the disciples, and the people, human, they were going up and down. The angels were going up and down. Okay, Jesus is the ladder, and I am just a instrument, a ladder. So I have written like this: I am born to create, not to destroy. I exist to mend the broken, not to break things down. I live to help reconcile, not to create dissension. I am not the protagonist, just a mere mediator. To God, this is my only prayer, never to make me an obstacle, but a bridge to cross over. Okay, this is a prayer that I wrote in a poetic form. Uh, so the next poem is a generous repute. Okay, this is also a very small poem which I can read it out. The more we accumulate, the more we tend to self suffocate. The more we give away and distribute, the more we gain a generous repute. It is not about just earning a name, but about a godly value to boldly proclaim. So, a generous repute is always not to accumulate, but to share and distribute and care. Okay, so that was my idea behind it. Then there was one more poem which I wrote. That's called the title is "A Ray of Hope." So the starting stanza is like, it's all dark all around. There's no hope seen. I feel restless and marooned, stained with weakness and sin, overwhelmed with pain and suffocating suffering. I struggled to walk straight, but limping. I cried, I wept, but to no avail. My life sunk and become a living hell. But then I see a light sparkling afar, calling me out of the darkness to breathe the freedom, fresh air, and live out the purpose in grace. Last stanza is, God is living and loving. He is an ever watchful guardian, mindful of our every pain, faithful Savior, He has always been. Okay, so that's the ray of hope. Because I don't know, when I wrote this one, I was going through, I was disturbed and I was going through difficult times, so I wrote this poem. So this is out of experience, and the generous repute is out of attribute I wanted to explain, a goodness, a good character I just wanted to express. And a bridge is a prayer. So like this I have written all these poems. I would like to read this one also. Once I was in the market and I saw, because a poet is always very what do you call, there is a Hindi word called khayali, khayali, like imaginative, daydreamer. I believe that I used to daydream a lot, and my journey started from daydreaming. It has never started. I mean, the normal writers, those who are very technical, they may not daydream, but those writers who are, who can really have fathomed a journey, they start with daydreaming till they publish their art. Okay, so I want to read. I was in a market and I saw a legion of pigeons. There were a lot of pigeons on the road. There were a lot of traffic, but the pigeons were very bold. They were always very bold. They will, you will find them where when a hammer was going on, the crow will fly away, all other birds will fly away, but the pigeon will be sitting there and looking around. No noise can scare it. So a bunch of, I don't know, what do you call, a group of pigeons, Okay. Uh, our English professor is already there. Welcome. So I'm a bit nervous now. So a group of pigeons. I don't know what do you call it. So they were on the road, and I look at them. I looked at them, and they flew away together. So from that thought, that imagination, I wrote this particular poem, Lessons from Birds. They are not bothered of the chaos and dangers all around them. As the fearless rangers, they are known for loving within their joyous frame. Neither they lack the enthusiasm while they fly high in the blue skies, nor they lack the zeal or passion to feed their little ones, listening to their hungry cries. They teach, they teach us to be carefree and passionate amidst life's troubles and worries. They impart the lesson of happiness, which even a smallest thing carries. So that's the lesson I learned from this few words. And there is another poem which I wrote, Lone Battle. You know, whenever we do want to do something good, we you will definitely find yourself alone. When you stand for justice without thinking about your prestige, you will find yourself alone, or find with you a very few standing along. When you do what is right, forgetting your darkest night, you will find your very own standing against you to fight. When you set out to love instead of hate, you will find many obstacles in your ways. Living selfishly is considered wise. You will be tagged as foolish when you sacrifice. When you choose to be humble, you will be termed as weak. There are many who can shout and grumble, but the meek always fights a lone battle. So we always, whenever we try to do something good, we find ourselves alone in this world. Yeah. The encouragement is God is always with us. Good people are always with us, but they are very few. Don't take people for granted. That is one more poem that I wrote. You are not allowed to enter every time you see an open door. No, open door doesn't mean that you can just barge in. Sometimes it is necessary to ask. Every person that meets you with a grin doesn't make him your friend or a kin. They may be strangers. You can't bother someone relentlessly just because they allow you access selflessly. Just because someone uh, allows you opportunities, you cannot just take advantage of someone. So I don't want to read the whole, it's a long one. And my first ever poem in my life that I had written, that is called, the title is Never Leave Me Alone. When solitude embraced my soul, you appeared as a steadfast friend, instilling hope within my heart's console, a sanctuary where my spirit would ascend. O Lord, claim me as your own. Ignite my spirit's fervent tone. Never forsake me, never alone. So I was imagining myself like one kind of David, King David, and I was really feeling alone. And that particular moment, I wrote my first ever poem. This poem. I don't want to read the whole poem. It's a very long poem with eight stanzas. Then uh, there is a there was a girl, a small girl. I wrote about her. Okay, so God's masterpiece. I call it God's masterpiece. As a very small kid, and she's a beautiful one, and she was playing with her mother. And I wrote, she is petite, she is fair, she is innocent, just so incredibly rare. Her silky hairs, her so pink lips, her adorably expressive eyes are as deep and wide as the skies. So it goes on like another four stanzas. I don't want to read the whole thing. A small kid of 5 years old. God loved the world. It's on perfectly. I mean, word by word, on the verse of John chapter 3, verse 16. God so loved the world, he gave away his only son. For to us, he told, the child was finally born. He was God, but he came as a mere human. For you and I, he became a sign. Wrapped in clothes, he was found in Bethlehem. Born in manger to a woman. For all, he brought the gift of a redemption. Gift of redemption. So it goes on talking about Jesus. A word. Another poem is a word. I have written about word. Word is powerful. So it is always used. It is very, we whenever we want to use a word, we need to be very careful, because it can build someone or it can destroy someone. It can encourage someone or it can hurt deeply. So I have written. And when I suffered with dengue in 2017, and in the hospital, uh, after discharge, when I came home, I was asked to rest, and I had no strength at all after suffering for 2 weeks with dengue. My platelet came down to 18,000. Not much. It goes below that also. But 18,000 for a cardiac patient is too much. And my gum was started bleeding also. Okay. So all these things literally terrified that I was almost uh, moving towards. I mean, it is a traveling on a death valley. So I wrote this. I walked so close to death's embrace, near the valley's shadowy place. Not once, but many times I trod. In moments dire, I walked with God. Many times during my heart surgeries, during my when I suffered with pulmonary TB and dengue. These are all deathbed experiences I have gone through. So I wrote this. I walked. I walked. This is a bit mysterious. I walked, and when the reader goes on reading it, it talks about how I traveled in the darkness and God brought me back. Then another poem I wrote about he. The title is "He Substituted Me." Similar like how I mean it is on Isaiah chapter 53. That particular verse, by his stripe I was healed. So he substituted me. He bore the pain, all for my pain. Substituting me, he was slain to shower on me the blessings rain. And it goes on like this. Okay. If you want to read it, you can buy it. I don't want to read the whole book. And then friends come in different shapes and sizes. I saw a picture. One of my writer friends' daughter, 5 years old daughter, and and a neighbor doggy, pet, and they were playing. I mean, I saw that and I wrote this one. I would like to read this one. Friends come in different shapes and sizes. That was the title. You are a domestic beast, and I am considered among the least. 5 years kid is a least, and the pet is called a beast. You are chained and was kept under subjection. I have a load of restrictions being a child, thus I feel so alone. We have a common ground to relate, befriend, and to roll around. We feel the need as we give each other a pat and touch, and we understand each other without speaking much. With the twinkling of eyes making funny noise, we play with each other without worrying about the future. We don't have to be wise to lead our life. We have enough of innocence to live without any strife. You are a domestic beast, and I am considered among the least. We are best friends. You won't find anywhere, whether you go to west or search in the east. That's a beautiful poem. Even I am overwhelmed to see that poem. I really like that poem. And the mother, I showed it to the mother of the child, and she was ecstatic. It was, wow, Dada. She calls me Dada, and she said, "Wow, this is a beautiful poem." And then he cares. God cares. This I wrote during COVID. Oh, my soul, why do you worry? The Creator thinks of me and cares for me daily. The one who created me has kept his eyes on me with much care, and I am rest assured of the fact day and night he watches over. So this goes on. I look at a man. Yeah, this is purely on Jesus. I look at a man. You know that verse is there no? In Isaiah. I look at a man who I mean Jesse's stem or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Uh, you know, he is bruised and he's bleeding like that. In Isaiah, it is written 53. I look at a man who is like a tender shoot. Yeah, tender shoot. It's written in Isaiah. From a dry ground came out of his root. He has no majesty or beauty, neither he seek any publicity. He was despised and rejected. His very presence was ignored and avoided. He was humiliated and stricken, was hit mercilessly and smitten. He was a man of many sorrows, had on his body and flesh many furrows. Furrows is that, what do you call the straight lines, when somebody plows. Despite of all this, he was pierced for my transgressions. He was crushed for my iniquities. He bore the punishment so that I can have peace. And by his wounds, I can get healed. So about God and Jesus, I have written quite a lot. I don't remember. I'm when I'm revisiting my own book, I'm finding I'm elated. I found them all around me. This is about teachers. On the Teachers' Day, I wrote, I found them all around me. I took birth, I cried, squirming in her lap. I felt her warmth. I learned the word comfort from no one else but my mom. Okay, like this, I have written about my sister, my brother, my father, and friends, then teachers. So they are all around me. Like I am learning from many people. They are all my teachers. So happy Teachers Day. That's the yeah. It's not about the teachers, but whoever I met. If I would have known about Joseph little more, then I would have learned something more about him. Probably I would have written a poem about him also. Okay, maybe sometime, some other time, I will write about pen, mic, and sword. Who knows? So as I said, कभी का मन कभी ख्याली होता है तो लिख देता है. So I don't know. Sometimes I will daydream, or some imagination will come, and I will start writing. Then one more. How much is the time? Okay. The simple among all complexities. Okay, probably somebody I wrote. Love never fails. This is on absolutely on First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 to 8. In the world of dark desperity, we struggle with our sustainability. We hope for the best to happen, yet find relationships unfruitful and broken. We crave and strive to be reconciled, but nothing gets materialized. On a spark of love, यहाँ से शुरू हुआ, we finally rely that springs forth from hearts sinful and sly. It gives new meaning to life, keeping the relationships sublime. Is love really a powerful divine or a mere waving of a wand of angelic design? Now comes. Love is above all things. Love has a virtue of long suffering. Love never envies or boasts, and it goes on. I don't want to read it. That's all. I read all 18 poems in small parts. If you want to read more and own it and share with others, I will ask me and I will share the link. You will buy it. Over to our host, Sister Jemima.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. It was a different kind of review today because this is the first time I am hearing a poetic book being reviewed. When I saw the title of the book, Echoes of My Heart, a collection of heartfelt emotions, expression, and insight in the form of poetical musings by Chiradeep Patra, I thought that, yes, brother.
Just one correction. This is not
Yeah,
the first poem. First poem book was reviewed by
final
Joseph.
week. Final
Yes.
week. Yes. So what I thought was when I saw the title of this book, okay, this book is all about the poetical musings of Chirati brothers' romantic life. That was my guess, but I was truly surprised. That is all about his romance with God, and very wonderful work, brother. Thank you so much. So we really enjoyed it. Although I have never read poems. Or I don't know to imagine like a poet like you, or I will never dream of writing a poem in future. But yet I enjoyed it because everything, whatever we experience in our life, in small things, in small instances which came across you, you made your imagination go free, and you created it into a meaningful poem. Which would be very useful to many of them. So we really enjoyed it. So we hope that God increase your creativity and imagination much more so that you can write many poems in the future. So thank you for this wonderful review. So when a writer reviews his book, he will give the whole potential of the book to us. And you really did a very good job of it. So now we have our panelist. Sangeetha Akka had come, but I think she's having some network issues. So let her join. So starting with Joseph, I would like to know Joseph's viewpoint regarding Chiradi Brothers review and what is his viewpoint about poetic form. Over to you, Joseph.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Jamaica, for this opportunity and for again inviting me to this episode. And I think I see this is something which was started, and I believe doing 61 episodes is not easy. That too, doing week on week, uh, consistent, being consistently doing again is another thing. And I thank for the grace of the God, and I thank you for taking so much of effort in making sure that this becomes success. And thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Chiradeep Patra sir, for um, the beautiful uh, poems that you have read. Um, the best part was like um, I have like we have done more of book reviews. We have read more of books. Obviously, I still remember reviewing your first poetic book, but that book had a particular theme. I still remember that entire book was on one theme, But this was something which had multiple dimensions, is what I would say. You could bring things from your personal experiences, the one that you have observed, and the one that you have experienced, or the one that you have gone through, with a with a with a backup of scripture, is what I would say. So that was very good to hear. And then the best part was like, what I was while you were reading it out, the only thing that I was just thinking through is like, probably this would be the case when in Old Testament you would see so many poets writing so many poems, because they were into a scenario, they were into a situation, and then the best form that they felt to put out was like song writing in the form of poems. And then I think that's the reason we have the famous book in the Bible, Psalms. So many Psalms and so many hymns is being written, and then not only that, across scriptures that we can see. And also, I realized that it is very easy for someone to remember an entire story when you bring it in the form of a poem. Because, and I believe probably this might be the reason why in the Old Testament and all, they they brought that entire story of how God got them out of Egypt into a particular song, into form of a poem, so that that can be sung for generation and generation, and that one song is enough to remember everything what God has done. Now it's like what I what where while you were this all things are coming from what things were going into my mind while you were speaking about this. So what I felt was like, it becomes easy for anyone to hand over that particular thing to another generation and then remember it, because obviously those days and all, you don't have anything, you don't hand over scripts so easily to generations. And also the one thing by which you can ensure that you put that seed into the next generation is through poem. So, and I could see the power of it, because some of the poems you said, especially the Isaiah one, the poem was very short, but each and every word that was picked up from the scripture and that was in line was more than enough to tell what Christ has, for the reason for what Christ has come into this world. So yeah. And also one more thing what I noticed was like, even though the poem might look uh, the way that it is describing the physical situation or the natural situation, but I also felt it also carries spiritual meaning in some aspects. For example, as when you said, every door is not an open door for you. The door might be open, but the question is, you'll have to ask whether this is open, whether is this open for me or not, whether am I able to come in. So for me, when this poem came, it is as good as a natural one. You go into someone's door, or you ask for permission in case, even if the door is open. It is essential that we ask whether are we are allowed to enter. So this is a natural form, is what I can see. But I can see, I could also, when the moment you said that, one thing was hitting in my spirit was, this is what happened in the Red Sea. The door was open for the children of God to pass through the Red Sea, but that door was not meant for the enemies, because that door was exclusively open for the children of God. And then every door is not an open door, and probably every door is not an open entry. Probably it can be a trap for the enemy, uh, and but it can be a passaway, a way through for the children of God. So what I realize is like, even though the poem might be looking very natural, or might be looking very simple, but I also believe that it can carry definitely greater meaning, because I believe it is backed up by scripture, and I believe it carries a lot of principles that comes from Christ, or that comes from Bible, is what I believe. So that's the sweet part that I could enjoy while the poem is being while you were reciting the poem. Obviously, I was listening to the lyrics, but again, another storyline was running into my mind. So that's what I could relate. And then the only thing I could, as I already told you, the best part of this was like, I could understand the power of putting everything into such small, sweet sounding uh, poem, or the poetic words. And I think for this, it is not easy unless and until God has invested in you, and then probably God has given that talent. So definitely I thank God for this. uh, because talent like this should definitely come up. And what I also believe that this is something that can be taught to others as well, to think into a particular way, to get into that particular thing. I don't know, probably I'm not a I don't have much idea, or I don't carry any experience about it, but it's like I felt probably this is something wherein, like, because I feel that this is a art which is lost in today's generation, when we see the people, very less amount of people who still believe in writing poems for themselves or for any situation that they go through, and then they find a solace, or then they find happiness in it. Things are turning into a very different way, the way we are into the current world. And I think this art is lost, and I believe so people like you can definitely will definitely help others to rise up, or probably nurture this talent, because I believe when you could bring out that seed which God has put inside you, and I believe God has put so many seeds inside everyone. The only thing is, like, whether have we realized it, that we have to bring this out, is what I believe. So thank you, Chiradeep sir, for this beautiful reading, and even the poetic utterance. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Jemima, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. So when Joseph had switched off his video, I was thinking that Joseph is perhaps in his office, and I don't know in what situation he is sitting for this room. But I'm really very happy that he was so attentive to Chiradeep brothers' reading of the poem and the review. That Joseph gave us many spiritual insights. So I liked the example which Joseph gave about the Red Sea passage, and Chiradeep brother told that in one poem he wrote about a child, and he compared it with Jesus, Jesus who came as a child for us for our redemption, so that we may be redeemed. So I would like to quote saying of Mayer. Is a theologian, and he has written us some 3 to 4 lines about Jesus' birth into this world. So I will read it, and then we can go to Dr. Helen ma'am, so that she can give her feedback. So what he says is, what a glimpse into a master's humiliation. He owned the cattle on 1,000 hills, yet he so emptied himself that his parents were compelled to bring the poorest offering the law allowed. He stooped that we might rise, emptied himself that we might be full, became poor that we might be made rich, was made human that we might be made divine. So just in yesterday's Bible study, I quoted this, and when Chiradeep brother was telling about this poem, I felt compelled that it's a really a very needed passage for everyone. So thank you, brother. Thank you to Chiradeep brother, and thank you, Joseph, for your wonderful feedback. And now I would like Dr. Helen to give a review, please. Dr. Helen, she there? Yes. Ma'am, please switch on the video, ma'am.
Very good evening to all. And am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here to share my views on sir's book. And this is my first review program, so I have whatever in my mind I will tell you. I'm a little bit nervous, and I want to share the thoughts which I have listened. And I'm very happy, and I have also written some poems, both in Tamil and as well as English language. So I'm very happy to see a poet through this program on my first review. So I thank Almighty. And you have quoted 18 poems. All the titles are very emotional and spiritual, and from the titles, and I can guess, and you have crossed many trials and tribulations in your life, and you own all the situations with God's strength. So that is the first thing I learned from your poem. And you are very spiritual person. In short, we can say that you are the 21st century David, we can say that. and from every poem, and we can see the autobiographical elements from your poem. And so there is a quote in literature that is every poem and it emotions are tranquil, recollected in a tranquility. So from your poems, you are such a person, and you are in a you are very clear in your views. And so that's the thing I learned from your poem. And one of your poems is word. Yes, I am reminded from the title, and from the lines I am reminded of a saying that is a word can build your world. So there is a saying. So from the word, and we can get the victory, failure. So everything it depends on word. So there is I am reminded of that saying. And again, God's substitute. And from that poem, when you're reading that poem, and I'm reminded of a story that is one there's a little boy, and with his father, and he was walking in the forest, and he wants to cut a tree. And he couldn't, because he is 5 years of old, so he couldn't cut a tree. So his he went to his father and asked why, what's the reason. And he is asking. So and that's the time. And the father instructed him to use his full strength, use your full strength. This is the answer given by the father. And again, and he is doing the same, but he couldn't. The third time he is doing again, and repeatedly he is doing, and but he couldn't. And finally he asked why I couldn't able to do that, to cut the tree. So that's the time. And the father replied, I asked you to use your full strength. Full strength is you and mine. So like that, in our every situation, and we have to use our strength, and we have to fully depend on our father's strength, that is Jesus Christ. So and when you are reading that line, I am reminded of that story. And that is use our full strength, that is our God plus us, that is our full strength. So that's the thing I learned. And writing 18 poems, and it's not an easy matter, because for every poems you have one experiences. So that is a very tremendous thing, and that is the drastic thing. And you have achieved a lot. And so there is always a connection between religion and literature, that is I believe. So here also I can feel the same thing from every heading itself. And you have from the heading it seems to be very general. And but the content, the lines, and it is really packed with meaning. So it is a thought provoking time I had. So this is the thing I want to learn as a poet, as a just I began my career as a poet. I am also a teaching faculty of a college. But nowadays very recently, and I am publishing. So this session really, it is a great lesson for me. And also you gave thought, and you gave views how to write a poem. And that's the thing I learned. So here I end up my reviews. This is a nice session. And I thank God Almighty, and I thank our program host, ma'am, and our reviewers are Joseph, and the and also the sir, and every one of you I thank one and all. And also I'm very grateful and indebted for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for your wonderful feedback. So, when ma'am sent her introduction, I was quite surprised when she mentioned that she just recently published a book on poem. And today's review was also a poem. I was unaware of it because at the last moment only I asked for an introduction because ma'am was introduced by another sister. She is also a college lecturer. She introduced her to our program, and she just mentioned she's an English lecturer. But glad to know that today's review it has helped many and perhaps created interest in them to start writing poems. So thank you, Chiradeep brother. As we all know, you are always ready to teach other, learn new things, so that everyone can grow in the Lord. And through this program also, we wanted more readers, more writers, more poets, more publishers, so that we can create an what I could say, Christian intellectual circle. That is really, really very important. Secular intellectuals, many intellectual thinkers are in our country, but we need more Christian intellectual thinkers, and that is the purpose of our program. So, dear friends, thank you all for staying connected to program. We had a great poetic review today. So kindly uphold Chiradeep brother in your prayers for his ministry, for his secular job, for his family, so that God make him a blessing for many young generation, and God give him with good health. And thank you to Joseph that in spite of your busy schedule, you took time to come as a panelist today, because in the coming days, I think in August 24, we are going to hear an interesting review from Joseph. He's going to do a review on book about Antichrist and aliens. So I'm really very interested. So I was really, really waiting for this day, but then suddenly Joseph told me, Akka, I need time. So then I thought, whatever you should do, you should come with full preparation. So thanks to Chiradeep brother for giving a helping hand and reviewing this last moment. And thank you to Helen ma'am for giving a nice feedback. So ma'am, please stay connected with us whenever you get time. Do join us as a panelist. And even ma'am is going to do a review in the coming days. She's going to review a book on missionary. Dear friends, stay connected to us. And we'll meet again with another new episode coming Wednesday, 9 p.m. with another title, another reviewer. Till then, stay blessed in Lord. Have a nice day. Good night. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.